do... Out of the weapons... I know we talked about it this last time. Greatsword, in my opinion, is fine, but I know a lot of Greatsword mains aren't happy with how the Greatsword is in Rise. The loss of the Slinger Burst was a big hit to them. Longsword is friggin' S tier in Rise. It's so friggin' powerful, but one of the reasons it's so powerful is it's so forgiving now, with higher invincibility, with higher frame counts to perform your counters, and not so much punishment for missing your counters. Sword and Shield is very powerful in Rise. I would say arguably almost an S tier, and that is namely thanks to its Silkbind aspects. Dual Blades are weaker in Rise, in my opinion, than when compared to Iceborne and World. Elements aren't so hot in Rise, making the Dual Blades a little bit low on damage, so because they can't utilize them as effectively, and with aspects like your dodge being tied behind your limited wire bugs, it can make it difficult at times. I mean, I wouldn't say they're bad at all. I would still put them in A or B tier, but they're not as good as they were in Iceborne in that. Lance, unfortunately, has had no love. The Lance, unfortunately, I love the Lance in Iceborne and other games, and it's in Rise, unfortunately, it feels like you're hitting things with a stick and a pot lid to block stuff. Gun Lance isn't in a very good place either. Hammer is in a good place, I would say. Sorry, go back to the Gun Lance. Gun Lance, its shelling is being kind of... Its shelling isn't very good. And, so most Gun Lancers, they rely on the Swing Lance instead of shelling, which you're taking away you're not using the unique factor of the weapon, so it's considered not in a good place. Hammer's in a good place, like I said. Its wire bug moves have made it even more mobile, more airborne, and again, a maybe even S tier weapon. Hunting Horn is for me personally, the Hunting Horn is good in this game, but I understand from the but it has taken a extreme divergent to what the Hunting Horn traditionally is. It's almost like, I don't want to say it's a new weapon, but it's gone from like this kind of pseudo support weapon into it can out DPS some of the more traditional DPS weapons. So I understand why some people don't like the direction it's gone. The biggest thing for me about it is that I can actually get the songs off now. But anyway, Switch Axe is in a very good place. Even better, with potentially even more amazing with the introduction of that new Silkbind move, the counter. But yeah, no, more mobile, more airborne. If that counter is as good as it seems, then it'll probably be S tier in Sunbreak. Chargeblade is a big disappointment. The Chargeblade was my most used weapon in previous games, and I can't stand it in this game. I don't know what it is about it. It feels underwhelming. It feels light. Almost, it sometimes has problems like the Lance, as it feels like you're just blocking things with a pot lid, and the super amped elemental discharge doesn't have any impact, and half the time it goes underneath monsters and such. It's just a pain in the ass. Insect Glaive, unfortunately, I cannot comment on too much, because the Insect Glaive is one of my least used weapons. It seems fine from the few times I have tried it, and when I got to learn it. Its wire bugs seem a little bit underwhelming, but it seems fine without them. But yeah, so I think that's the only outlier out of the two. The heavy and the bow guns we've talked about. Obviously, the lack of mods and the requirements of their builds being so friggin' skill heavy really has kind of put a handicap on them. I think the light bowgun is in a better place than the heavy bowgun. I feel the light bowgun's Silkbind moves are a little bit more useful than the heavy bowgun ones. And with the heavy bowgun, apart from using stickies, I don't enjoy using it that much. The light bowgun, most of the time I just go with piercing ammo now. And the bow, being a bow main, I don't think it's... I don't know. Because there is one thing with the bow. The bow has issues when it comes to survivability. I'm always going to say that. The bow, I suppose with the light bowgun too, in some respects, if you get hit, you lose a lot more health than when you do with other weapons. But the bow does have a lot of damage output, especially because of how elemental values work with the bow, as in it kind of always does maximum elemental damage, but elemental damage ain't so hot in this game anyway, so it kind of balances that out. And it was called a bug at one point, but if it was a bug, it would have got fixed. So Capcom obviously intended it to be this way. So it does have that damage output. The main thing that for me that makes the bow so much more powerful is the dodge bolt, basically. The move that allows you to spin and provides you a counter on your dodge. It really does elevate the bow to another level. Sorry guys, bear with me. I'm just going on a tangent, shall we say, about the different weapons and my quick, brief opinions on them at the end of Monster Hunter Rise.